delicious stew, and her name is Minerva. Oh, she's the flower of the flower. Oh,
There I am. Well, it is a last second live stream, so you can't expect me to be organized, especially this late at night. I had this coat on. It's wintry, but I'm kind of warm, so I think I'll take it off. Welcome, everybody. It is a last second late night live stream. What this really means is there was nothing on TV worth watching, so gosh darn it, I said I'm going to turn the old camera on and I'm going to start drawing pictures. So here I am. Let me make a prediction right now. Within 15 minutes, Shelly will call on the phone and just interrupt the entire show. It's my prediction. Mark it down. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for joining me. There's a few people here. You never know this late at night without any introduction or any warning if anybody's going to show up. I'm sure there's competitive streams going on right now, so I appreciate those of you in attendance. And though it would be the green laser. The green laser is the first one in the house. You know what you get for that green laser? You get absolutely nothing, but thank you so much for joining us. John Porton's here. Louis Bright Raven's here. My dog is down here bugging me. Will you go lay down? Let's see. Mike McMahon. Wow, this is late for Aaron. Awesome. I get to listen at work now. Indeed, you do. John Smith is here. One of my favorite shows. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Mighty Geek Studios is warning me, watch your step in these parts. Let's see, that lady superhero looked rock hard. Not sure what he's referring to, but I'm all for it. Nomadman is here. John Smith is again here. Gary Shipman. Hey, Gary, nice. Thank you for joining us. You're probably drawing. As if I know you, you would be drawing like 24/7. So Mighty Geek Studios. Look at that. So we have a few people here, the committed, the artistes, the appreciations of finer things. You guys are all here today, and this evening, and that is why I think it's important to do this. Well, I don't normally do this except on Sundays, but
let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Does anybody else go grocery shopping at like 9 o'clock at night? I do. Sometimes I'll even do it on a Friday night. That shows you how dull of a life I have. Strawberry Newtons, though. Fig Newtons are okay, but strawberry Newtons, I couldn't resist. And they're on sale. So my dad, who's no longer with us, but no matter which store we were at, if something was on sale, he would buy it. We had some of the strangest stuff in our house that we never got used, but it was on sale. So, these are tasty. Green Laser, thanks for the no prize. Hey, that's what I'm here for, is to give you nothing. Mighty Geek Studios, some of us draw instead of sleep. Isn't that the truth? Mike McMahon agrees with me. Strawberry are the best. They have a mixed berry, too, that I really like. So, but they didn't have them there. They just had the strawberries, so I took them. No, Louis, are you telling me that it's a regional thing? So you went grocery shopping at night a lot when you lived in Nevada, so you could gamble at the grocery store, maybe pull a slot machine late at night. But not since you moved to Carolina. Well, I was just watching a really bad video about someone who allegedly saw Bigfoot in the Carolinas. So watch yourself. There could be somebody in a monkey suit running around the woods nearby your house. Okay, I want to let you guys a little preview. Tomorrow, we're going to do a lunch stream. David Williams and I were going to draw. So there'll be another chance to get to see us draw some stuff. David and I are going to start doing this once a week on a regular basis. We haven't picked out the day yet. I was thinking about Wednesday, but then something came up and I couldn't do it today. And then so we're going to do it tomorrow. But we are going to do it. So mark that down on your calendar. John Smith, so how's it being a bachelor for the last few days? Don't tell Shelly I said this, but the house is a lot cleaner. Just saying. Me and my mom don't make much of a mess. So I guess it is Shelly. It's Shelly and my daughter, the ones that are messy. So just throwing that out there. I don't know. What I used to do, like we lived in Florida, for example, and Shelly would go back to see her parents or something in the summer, and I would stay there or whatever. So we were a few weeks, or she'd go back to finish up her master's degree at Portland State. And so I would stay there for a couple of weeks or, whatever. I would come home. I would come back to Florida early or whatever this case may be. As I would always draw, I'd say, man, I don't have any responsibilities. I got no kids. I'd get up in the morning and I would draw until, like midnight or something. And now I just sit around and watch TV and then sometimes draw. So I got to flip that. I got to get back to drawing more. It's just been weird, man. It's been a weird fall for a lot of reasons, but I'm kind of flipping the switch, getting back to being, super motivated again instead of just casually motivated. Hey, Rodney's here. Hey, Rodney, you must be on winter break by now. Maybe. No, probably not. You probably still have a week, or at least the end of this week till you're out of school. Rodney, of course, is a teacher of young minds. Depending on where you are, you could go grocery shopping at midnight. That's true. I guess it depends. Do you feel safe to go grocery shopping at midnight? That's a big question. Oh, she texted me. Does that count? She just got back from, she's visiting her brother in San Antonio, and he's taking her out like every night. So his wife and Shelly, and they just went to some honky tonk bar or something. So she's been just living up the old cowboy life. Let's see. I bet the chat that you would call within 15 minutes of the show starting. And then I'll put a laughy face. There. Now watch. That'll egg her on so she will call. Let's see. Look at that. I've gone grocery shopping at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. I used to do crazy stuff like that when I was in college. And living in LA, which is that's the dumbest thing you can do. But when you're like, 21, you're like, meh. Now I'd be like, scared to death. Rodney says, you need to draw Kit Carter as Santa's helper. I probably should, shouldn't I? But I'm not going to. That's too complicated. See? Hello, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
You're
Who goes it?
you're caller number 1. You're on the air.
Oh, nice. Can I read the secret quest? All Out of Love by Air Supply.
All Out of Love by Air Supply. Wow. Take me
I
back.
know.
That's like sophomore year in
Although
high school, I
should
think.
say, how about a Randy Travis song? While I'm down here in country. Oh my gosh.
John Smith says now it's a show. Shelley called, so now it's a show. Okay, so Shelley,
Nice.
tell us all about the honky tonk that you went to
my
tonight.
gosh. It was so fun. It's like really like famous. I think it's called Green Hall, but it's Gruene or something. They have pictures of, every country artist you could think of, and then some like you have no idea who they are. That have played there. In fact, George Strait used to play there a ton before he got famous.
Is this like near San Antonio or outside of San Antonio?
Yeah, it was about 45 minutes. But yeah, we've done something every night, boy. Whew. The thing they let me sleep till noon or 1 every day. Ooh, y'all.
No, you went to the Blazer game last night that I watched on TV.
Game last night.
Well,
and the night before, Luke and I and Brian went to Lukenbach, Texas.
Population 3.
What?
Population 3.
Yeah, I think there were more cats than there were people. Even when we were there. But they had, just some local yokels playing. But there's like live music pretty much every night somewhere. In fact, I think it's twice a day at Lukenbach, and then at this place, like a bunch of shows this weekend are sold out there already. But
Mighty Geek Studios says they're going to turn Shelley into a country girl if she stays too long. Hey, when we met, Shelley was nothing but country music.
Right, and that's what Brian would play the songs, and he's like, "You know this song?" I'm like, "Remember, that's all you listened to for a long time."
The good old days.
Yeah, but I could live down here in a heartbeat. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh, I guess we're moving to Texas.
A guy ran into me, "Excuse me, ma'am," and I was like, one going, I guess I am a ma'am. I am that old. But they're just like, I don't know, super nice. Of course, it'd be, I'm sure, different when you live here, and tonight was kind of chilly because I think it's like, I don't know the weather is, but we actually got cold, but they had a wood stove going in the place. It's like one of those, like, the floor, hundreds of years old. Yeah.
So is this like just like a drinking establishment, or can you get food there, or what was the story?
Oh, it's like there's antique shops, all sorts of, like, I bought some stuff at Cotton Eye Joe.
Cotton Eye Joe?
Uh-huh. And then we went and had dinner. It's a music venue and bars and stuff, and then they had a bunch of wine tasting and stuff. But it's funny, when they told them that they were from Oregon, they're like, "Oh, you won't like any of the wines here." So crap compared to Oregon.
Like Annie Green Springs and
oh goodness.
that.
No, it was hold on. And there's it's kind of like a McMiniman's kind of a feel.
Oh, okay.
The place, and then they always have live music. It's a historic district in New Braunfels, Texas. So cool.
Louis Brightraven wants to know, now he wonders, does Shelley know country music? Shelley knows country music. Well, used to. So I'm sure she remembers quite a bit.
I know 80s and 90s country music.
There you go. 80s and 90s country music.
Yep.
Well, glad to hear you made it back alive and in one piece. I got to start drawing, though.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going to go to bed.
All right.
The dogs aren't sleeping with me. They didn't sleep with me last night either.
Well,
but they still love me. Oh, wait, maybe.
The newness wore off. I hear your
kick. Are you going to come sleep with me?
Shelley live talking to the dogs. All right. Well,
right.
Have a good evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Let's talk before you get on the plane and head back to Phoenix.
Okay.
All righty.
See ya. Bye, guys.
Peace.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Mhm.
There you go. Shelly on the road in Texas. Yeah, his brother-in-law lives there. Well, my brother-in-law lives there. That's why Shelly's there visiting her brother, who is my brother-in-law. This dog keeps thinking that he can jump up in my lap, and it's not going to happen. Will you go lay down? Now, I did a little bit of blue line here, just to kind of get an idea of what I kind of wanted to do. I always do a similar, seems like every year I do kind of a similar Santa drawing to this. And I keep thinking, next year it'll be better. And so we'll see. Maybe this is the year that it is better than last year's. We shall see. I mean, who doesn't love Santa? I have been, for years, I tell you, desperately trying to get all the Leyendecker Santa Claus covers, Saturday Evening Post covers. And I don't just collect the covers, because a lot of people will cut the covers off and just sell the covers without the interiors. And I'm like, no, I got to have the interiors too. So I've had a really hard time finding the Santa Claus ones. I think I just have one. And it's sort of annoying. It's like you figure those would come up for sale and they don't. I mean, it's hard enough to find those anyway because they're so old. We're talking 1920s and 30s. But I guess if I got everything I was looking for, I wouldn't have anything to collect, right? So I'll keep looking, and maybe, just maybe someday they'll show up. And I can't do too much line work on here because I'm going to color this. That's right. I'm going full color. Now, we were kids. We never believed in Santa. We were never told by our parents that Santa was real. My dad was too much of a curmudgeon to ever do that, and my mom didn't want to lie to us, and she wanted to just put the emphasis on it being the birth of Jesus, not somebody bringing us presents. But I always loved the concept. And of course, one of my favorite books, as I've said several times on this very channel, that Mike Plug's The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, published by Tundra many moons ago in the 90s, is like one of my favorite graphic novel, comic book projects of all time. In fact, it really inspired me like very few things have artistically, outside of Frazetta and some rights and stuff. It was just, I just love it. So if you don't have a copy of it, you can get one on eBay, and I highly recommend it. Highly. I had the good fortune of going to Plug's when he lived in Seattle, Washington, to his home up there, and got to go into his studio. And he had painted pages from that book just laying around his studio. It was like I was just tried so desperately hard to get him to sell me one, sort of like I did with Simonson. And he was selling everything else, but he didn't want to sell any of the Santa Claus pages. And I was just like, oh. So I've got some other Plug stuff, but I never got a Santa Claus page from the guy. And it still breaks my heart. I love it. Love it. General Piggy for $4.99. Thank you, sir. Will the Santa piece be for sale? Of course it will. Of course it will. John Smith says all of his exes live in Texas. I know that's the name of a song, but you got to wonder how many exes does John have, and do they all actually live in Texas? Jay Lee's reminding me Art lives in Texas. Of course, I live in Texas. Jay Lee lives in Texas. He means even Brett Booth lives in Texas. I know that as well. How about that? I know stuff. It's a charming Santa. We'll see what we can get out of this once it so you get some color on here and it really comes to life. Yeah, I believe Ethan's having an art auction this weekend. That you will find me there, and perhaps with this piece. And whatever I do, I'm going to draw a Wraith of God piece tomorrow with David. And I don't know what David's going to draw, but he'll be on the show, and I'll be drawing Wraith of God piece, which will be offered in the Comics Gate auction tomorrow night. I think it's tomorrow night. Might be Saturday night. Might be both nights. But nothing like a little Christmas auction. Let me see about this. That's better. I used to do a lot of these like drive streams, draw streams during the COVID times. But it's harder now because I'm working on, or I should be working on Wraith of God. And so it's hard to do, like, I was doing like one of these a day. I mean, I was freaking streaming all the time. And then when my arm was in a sling, I had nothing to do. I couldn't draw. I couldn't do anything. That's all I did was live stream and then draw left-handed. All right. I think that's good enough. So we'll ink this and then let the coloring begin. Or should I not ink it? No, I got to ink it because I got to erase the blue line and stuff before I color it. Well, like I said, if it goes up in auction, it'll be whatever someone's willing to pay for it. If I don't know until I get it colored. I'll have to see how much work it actually takes me to do it. Let's go with an 8. I have not listened to any Christmas music yet this year. I'm just like, I got to get into it, man. I got to get into the Christmas spirit. It's going to be come and gone before I even know it. It's so different, though, when you don't have kids around. I mean, this obviously isn't the first year we haven't had kids around, but just been me and Nana for the last week. And I mean, we put up the tree and decorated the tree. But that's it. I haven't put up any other decorations. I got no lights on the outside of my house. It's pathetic. I got to get my crap together. And can't have a holly jolly Christmas unless we have a holly jolly Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Christmas used to start so early when I was a kid. You know, it was like practically December 1. And you could always judge or determine when Christmas started when you'd go to the mall or a shopping center and there were Christmas lights up and everything. So I guess that's really what sort of defined Christmas for me was the commercialism of it. That's pretty pathetic. But, you know, you start thinking about presents. And then I remember as a young kid, we would get like the JCPenney catalog and the Sears catalogs in the mail. And they always had the Christmas section, right? The Christmas catalog. Oh my gosh. Me and my brother would like fight over it because that's where we go and look for all the stuff we wanted, right? Because you'd see some stuff on commercials, but we didn't watch that much TV outside of, you know, Saturday morning cartoons. So we would mark pages, you know, and stuff that we wanted for Christmas. And then it was just like this waiting game, right? We couldn't wait to get the tree up because the longer the tree was up, the longer Christmas was, you know. And it's funny, all my fond memories of shopping during Christmas time are all at the mall here. It was a new mall when I was a kid, but it's an old mall. But it's the same mall. And my parents would go and do their Christmas shopping or whatever, and then leave me in one of the bookstores in the mall, and I would just look at trade paperbacks, or not trade paperbacks, I didn't even have that stuff back then, but like Doc Savage paperbacks and Conan paperbacks with Tarzan paperbacks with the Neil Adams covers. It's like you never actually had to, you know, read the book. We just looked at the covers and the art on the cover. And there was a comic book section that had like Stranko's The History of Comics and, you know, some things like that. And God, I used to love that. Spend the whole time in the bookstore. Then my parents would show up with all these bags, and you can't look in the bags, don't look in the bags, you know. So they would like have gone grocery shopping, go Christmas shopping in the mall while I was in the bookstore. I got to admit, I miss the simplicity of those times. I really do. And funny enough, the saddest day was like Christmas Day after you'd opened all your presents. Well, I guess not the saddest because you're playing with your toys and stuff like that. But boy, the anticipation for that stuff that was what it was all about. Old man says he couldn't even draw Snoopy left-handed. Some people would start hanging lights right after Thanksgiving. I know those are the super festive people. And I used to be like that, of course, when I was a kid. The thing about, you know, decorating your house and stuff for Christmas or whatever is it's always fun putting all that stuff up. But man, when you have to put it away, That's the real bummer. And that's why our Christmas decorations usually stay up till like mid to late January before I actually would take them down. Because like, I spend a whole day taking the stuff down and organizing it. And that's like as much fun as it is decorating your house and bringing up Christmas decorations. It's like anti-fun to take them down. My brother and I, it seems to me like when we were in grade school that we got it for Christmas like really early, like 2 weeks before Christmas. So we had like 3 weeks off at Christmas time. At least it seemed like that. I know now most of the time these kids, they're in until the last week right before Christmas week, you know. But we would just like, my brother and I would have like gaming tournaments. Not electronic games, of course, but like board games and stuff like that we would just play relentlessly. And then if we were lucky enough to get some snow, we'd go out and do that. But that's the greatest thing about being a kid is no responsibilities, no worries. You know, you had no idea if you had any money or not. You know, your parents did, of course, but they didn't. They would never say, oh, yeah, we're poor or whatever. So we didn't know. I think I'm turning into a Scrooge. I really do. I got to get out of this mode, man, and get into the holiday spirit. Speaking of which, have you guys, has anybody seen, I just saw this like 2 nights ago because they're making a big deal out of the fact that Steve Martin and Martin Short were hosting Saturday Night Live. And I never watch Saturday Night Live anymore. But this thing came up on YouTube where they did this Christmas Carol thing where Steve Martin and Martin Short was like Scrooge, and Steve Martin was like one of the ghosts. And Martin Short wakes up and he does the whole line. They're doing it straight, you know, like it's right out of Christmas Carol where he wakes up. What more is it? What morning is this? You know, and he yells down to the kid on the street, what day is it? And it's Christmas Day, sir. You know, and so he goes, here, take this coin and go buy the biggest goose, you know, and he throws the coin down and it sticks in the kid's eye like a ninja star, and blood starts spurting out. And the more coins he throws, they keep sticking. You know, like he takes the other kid's eye out, and then Tiny Tim's leg. And I mean, it was like a Monty Python skit. It was so hilarious. I can't imagine it was actually. I don't know if it was actually part of the Saturday Night Live thing or it was something they did separately. But holy crap, it was funny. I know, that's what I mean. I've only got 1 week left to get into the spirit. I mean, it's terrible, right? I should already be rolling in Christmas spirit. And you couldn't even look around this house without the exception of seeing the Christmas tree. And you'd say, oh, yeah, okay, it's Christmas time. I've got to get into it, man. I got to get rolling. Stephen N says, I got to go to bed, but that's looking like a great Santa. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We're going to start coloring it in seconds. Oh, is that what he's known? Jolnir, as he's known in Asgard. How about that? A bit of Walter Simonson would back you up on that. Darth Josh is in the house. Thanks for joining us, Darth. Appreciate it. All right. So we got a little Santa going here. So what I'm going to do is Gotta get rid of all this pencil underneath here. Well, I'm not going to be overly diligent about it, but I'm going to try and get rid of most of this. Because, yeah, it's going to look kind of like a coloring book, but that's how I'm going to color it. And this will be a mixture of, like I usually do, colored pencil and marker. Like the red hat and a suit, that's all going to be marker. So I'm not going to spend, 2 hours trying to color pencil the Santa suit. I can tell you that right now. Ain't going to happen. Sometimes these white erasers smear and they don't erase great. I may have to go back to the kneaded erasers for erasing bigger stuff. I use the pink pencil top erasers to erase smaller stuff. All right. Very plain Jane looking Santa, but we're going to bring him to life right now. Saying, start with the music tomorrow. All right, Iodine, I'm going to do it. My daughter has had us listening to Christmas radio for the past couple of weeks on the drive to and from school, but yeah, feeling hasn't fully kicked in for me either. It's easier when you got kids, but I don't know. There's so much crap going on in society right now that it's easy to kind of get depressed and not all happy, but I'm going to overcome that, I think. All right, you probably can't really even see that pink, can you? So I got this Prismacolor pink, right? What's it called? Deco pink. And I'm putting it on very lightly here because I treat my colored pencils a lot like watercolors in that I slowly build up my color layers. So no, you probably can't even see that on there, can you? That's amazing. You can't even see it. See, you can kind of see it. It's very light. And what I do is I'll start cross-hatching over this. And that gives you a nice blending effect without like having to smear it or anything. By doing this really sort of light, slow buildup of cross-hatching lines, you end up with a very soft. It's incredible how invisible it is to you guys, but I can see it pretty clearly right here. It's much darker than what you're seeing. I just think that's interesting. But when I actually get some fleshier colors in here, I'm just really sort of establishing my base. I wonder if I show this. Let me switch cameras real quick and see if I can hold this up and see if it'll make a difference. So you guys can actually see what I've done here. All right, let's see. You can see it a little bit there. Yeah, you can see the pink there. But it's very light. Now Now back to the board. Not a big don't like to use reds except for certain areas. I like to use oranges a lot. This is a peach. So again, it's kind of a flesh tone that and again, I'm using a very light touch here, but cross hatching. And occasionally I'll go in and use my fingertip like that to soften an area. All right, let me switch one more time to show you what this is looking like color-wise, because you can't really tell yet. It's kind of annoying, but okay, see how that flesh is kind of taking shape there? And I guess I'm going to use the pipe as sort of the light source, even though it wouldn't necessarily be the light source. But we're going to pretend it is and use that sort of as our key light source moving forward here. Better get Santa's ear in here too, before I forget. All right, so I'm going to go in with a little burnt sienna here, which is, well, this is light brown. It's technically called, but this looks like it's kind of a burnt sienna to me, which is a reddish brown. So we'll go in and establish some darker areas here. Again, if this is our light source, then we're going to say the light is coming up like this. So this area back here is going to be shaded, and this area is going to be lighter, obviously. If you look, imagine the face as being just an oval like that. So the light's going to come like that and fade to shadow over on this side. And that's really how you approach it. The bridge of the nose is going to create some shadow here. Again, this is your brow here is going to cast a shadow up here. So your highlight's going to catch here, under here, the bridge of his nose going up, the tip of his nose right here. All right, I'm going to get up here in the brow a little bit, darken this up. Really, this whole ear would be sort of shaded or darker. So I'm going to go in with this brown over the top of this completely here. All right, so let's get some rosiness in these cheeks. Hey, look at that. The man himself, EVS, is in the chat. Thanks for joining us, EVS. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's true. There's a book called I Dream of Santa that has all of the paintings by you know, the minute you said that, I forgot his name. I can see his face. Somebody help me out. Famous illustrator. Hayden Sundblom was best known for his Santa Claus Coca-Cola ads. And there is a book, like I said, called I Dream of Santa. I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. It's all Hayden Sundblom Santa art. And it's really, really cool. So we got to get Santa's nose red like a cherry because he's been drinking. It's funny how that red shows up really well. We get some of that rosiness in his cheeks as well. Again, I'm putting this on really lightly. And then we will cross hatch over the top of it. This, and then maybe a little bit like this. And as you get near the edge, you go lighter and lighter and lighter, and that sort of breaks up the line a little bit, so it makes it softer, and you can go in with your finger like I just did there. Going to soften that up a little bit. Try not to get too carried away with the red, but no promises. Again, I'm really being light. And really just sort of skimming across the top of the paper. And a little bit of highlight there. A little bit of red here, but I'm going to go back over this with a brown and really darken this up. Try to get a little bit of red in there. Kind of feel like this should still be darker. See how soft that looks. All right, so I'm going to take the brown again. Dude, I think you're totally onto something there. I think that's totally true. But woody, that's the question. All right, so I'm going to go in over the top of that red with this burnt sienna again. So I'm going really hard in the middle and then soft on both sides. So you get that sort of softer. Right? Now you're going to have some light coming this way, so you're probably going to have a little bit of shadow kicked up like this in that nostril. Now I'm probably going to have to go in there with some mauve. Get that stinking ruler out of my way. There's a little bit of shadow above this fold in his eye. Do the same thing back here, darken these up. And again, we got some shadow cast here because of the eyebrow, so that's going to make this a little bit darker. Well, this up here is going to be lighter because it's catching the light. And I can come in here and really make a hard edge here to kind of make it, this really helps. When you bring in a real dark shadow right here and you have a little bit of light behind it, like you have a kicker side light coming in, it really makes this look more like an oval shape. I'm going to do the same around here like this. And right up in here. That gives that nose some depth. Some volume to it. We're going to do the same on his cheek. If I was doing this in watercolor, I'd be basically doing the same thing, except obviously not with the line work, but laying in layer after layer after layer of color very lightly over the top until I got it to right where I wanted it in terms of the value. But I'm kind of a coward that way. I'd imagine guys that do this all the time, like Alex Ross or whatever with watercolor, they just kind of go in and do it. Me, I feel much more in control if I do everything really lightly and then slowly build up. Just, you know, just like you feel, well, I do anyway, feel like I'm in more control of, and kind of watch it sort of develop slowly. And you never feel like you've gotten too far ahead of yourself, or, oh, I made that too dark, or I made that, you know, the wrong color. If you're just building stuff up slowly and slowly, then you never get that sense that you've made a decision that you can't get out of, I guess, basically is what I'm saying. You can see how that comes alive. See, you can really see, if you look at really close, you can see the line work in there. But look at on that cheek, it just looks soft, but that's all cross hatching. But because it's a slow build and multiple layers of cross hatching over the top of it, it can go soft. And like I said, you can use your finger a little bit there, but you don't have to do it too much if you don't lay the color down too hard. Get some of that red back here in his ear. I should do that lip before I forget about it. I almost pulled you in, David, but I figured it might be too late for you. But David will be joining me tomorrow around lunchtime to do some more drawings. So make sure you keep your eyes open for that. If you can't join us live, you can always join us in reruns. All right, if I had a mauve, that would be ideal. I don't know. I mean, I do, but I don't know where it's at. I lied. Here it is. I got it. I got it. All right, so Norman Rockwell, so I was told, did all of his underpainting in Mars Red, which is basically this sort of, it's a violet color, but not real, you know, it's kind of a dull violet color. And it makes a great mix with flesh tones. So I'm told that is why he used it. Whenever you're using like a purple or a violet or a mauve on flesh tones, you got to be careful you don't let it get too purple, because then it looks like, you know, like it's bruised or something, you know, like someone got punched in the face. Same thing with yellows. I try to stay away from yellows because they tend to make your flesh tones, your characters, look jaundiced. So I try to stay away from those as well. Um, but I do like using orange. Dog's over there growling like my dog thinks he hears stuff constantly that is just not there. Yeah, you can hear him growling. So he thinks he hears something, but there's nothing there. I think he needs a psychiatrist. And I know they have dog psychiatrists. And of course, I'm joking because I don't think that's legitimate. If you're a dog psychiatrist, I apologize. I don't mean to insult you, but not something that I have a lot of confidence in. But he's definitely got a problem. And it could be that he's just so used to delivery trucks and stuff that he's anticipating something that just isn't happening. I don't know. Fill a little bit of this in with orange. And see, if you do a really light orange, it makes a wonderful flesh tone too. But you got to be careful that you don't go too hard and let it get too orangey. So as you can see, that's, it's becoming this rich sort of facial tones. Camera, as good as this camera is, and it is a good camera, doesn't really, the thing with original art and stuff like this, if you scan it, even if you scan it or photograph it or whatever, sometimes the nuances get lost. That's why it's so wonderful to like get original art and to see the original art, because then you can see all the little things that the scans or the photograph don't pick up. All right, I'm going to go in here with this mauve back here in the ear because, again, this area should be shadowed. It's getting a little too purple, so I'm going to go back over it with a brown. It's my gut feeling here that Santa has blue eyes. Actually, I got the reflective light in the wrong spot. If the light's coming from here, it would be over here, but oh well. Okay, so now I'm going to take a Cool Gray Zero marker. And put some gray in here on the, what would be the shadow side of his beard. Again, on this, you want to be careful that you don't get too dark with the gray, because you want it to read as white. So we're using just the gray to help establish the shadow and create the, or continue the illusion of the light source. So you put the gray down here on the bottom of the beard, because that, of course, is farthest away from your light source. And of course, I'm running out of ink. Let's see if this one is any better. It appears to be. Now this back here, I'm going to be a little bit more, build up the gray a little bit more back here, because it, of course, is farthest from the light source. Okay, so I'm going to get bold here, and I'm going to go with a C2. Which really is pretty light, but be careful here that I don't extend it down too far. Because we still want his eyebrows to be white, right? But that, put the gray in there to indicate the shadow on the white. Extend that gray down too far. It starts reading as gray rather than white with a shadow on it. Rodney, that looks absolutely amazing. Thank you, sir. Old man, your dog is probably upset that you're not paying attention to him. Every time I get a call, my cat thinks I'm talking to her and starts meowing at me. No, he definitely is. Well, he behaves like he's starved for attention, but nothing is farther from the truth. So I don't think I'm going to go any darker than a C2. Leave those. I said this is the shadowed side of the beard, if you will, so I can get it a little bit darker, but really in the big picture of things, C2, that's just a cool gray 20, is it's not that dark. Especially when I put the red in here, it won't seem that dark at all. Let's see here. Okay. Do the same thing on the fur brim on his cap. I'm going to use the marker to create some texture on this thing, on this white, because it's going to be this white fuzzy stuff, right? So we can use that to create some texture. That was a C1. I'm going to go a little bit darker on the cap than I did on the beard. And again, I'm going to do it kind of loose, sort of create that texture. I'm going to go back over it real quickly with some C0. Just kind of soften those edges just a bit. Use it a little bit like a blending tool. Okay, now I do hear somebody talking outside. Like, what the heck? It's only 10:30 here, so. All right, so I got to get my red. Again, I like to use, this is really a Chinese orange. So it looks a lot more orange on camera than it does in person, but I've got a red that I can put over the top of this for my darker areas. And then the lighter areas I leave in this kind of orange red here. Of course, like a son of a you-know-what. It's running out of ink. I can't win around here. I will oftentimes crosshatch my markers too, because it's hard to get a really flat, consistent so if you crosshatch it, you basically create a pattern in the marker that gives it a uniformity rather than just a kind of a random splotchiness that you would normally get by trying to, smooth it out so it all just laid perfectly flat. Okay, so this is my R24, which is prawn. Again, it's not a red, but it's way more of a red than this orange is. So essentially by mixing these two, I've kind of created my own red. And again, with the crosshatch here to create pattern or a consistent pattern or texture. So let's pull out just a bit here. Oops. I was waiting for that. It looks like Kelsey. Rob, Machine Gun Hunter. Tell them nothing. Take all your drawing tips and secrets to the grave. That's right. The size of the piece reminds me of the giant 10 by 14 comics we had for Christmas. Marvel Treasury Edition and DC had their own version also. That is true. So true. All right, so I'm going to go back in with my orange, which is drying out, which pisses me off. I mean, I could refill it, I suppose. But, if I could find the red. Here. Look at Santa for a moment while I look for my... It should be in this. Got these little plastic art bins that always start out organized, but they never stay organized. Yeah, it's not in there. It's like, where does my stuff go? You know, seriously. Oh, wait a minute, it might be back here. Ah. Boy. Oh yeah, there's a little bit in there. Sorry, I'm wrecking the whole studio looking for this stuff. Okay. I'm now going to attempt to refill this marker without making a mess, which I rarely can do. So take a little tissue, grab that tip, pull it right out. Boom. Now you can refill it. This is the old bottles. They don't make these anymore. They actually make the bottles now are just, they're smaller and more expensive. There we go. That's enough to make it work. Let me pick up our tissue here. Stick that back in. Wipe up the overflow. And there you have it. Just kind of give it a second here to sink down in there. And then we're off. Oh, it's just full of color. I used to throw these away until Tim Townsend goes, you know, dude, you can refill those. And I'm like, what? So, yeah. I wasted a lot of money on pens. They dried up and I just threw them out. $6 pen. Yeah. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. You have this huge area right here. It's kind of like, how do you get it so it doesn't look splotchy? You can't. Really. So what I do is I create this line pattern, right? Okay. And now I'm going to cross hatch over this line pattern and create texture. So it feels like it's supposed to, like you're intended it to look like this, which I mean, I do intend to make it look like this, but it's kind of a cheater's way to solve the problem of splotchiness with markers, right? So then you got this kind of cool little checkered pattern in there. And people say, oh yeah, that's a cool stylistic choice or whatever. And it's just what I do to make sure that stuff doesn't look splotchy. Let's see. Let's bring that down a little bit. See? And nobody's the wiser. Except now you are, because I told you. I don't know if I really need to refill this for what I'm going to do, but we shall see. Just going to lay. Now this is the more reddish red. If that makes any sense. We'll do this to take some of the orange out of it. I guess my problem is I see a lot of reds, but they're either too dark or they're, I don't know, just not what I'm looking for. So I'd rather make my own. And I found that combining this sort of orange marker with this kind of more pinkish, reddish marker gives me a lot more of what I want. So again, so that's kind of what it looks like. So you could create that little texture pattern in there. It's good fun for the whole family, really. All right. So we got to put these. I never knew what these little black. Was he supposed to be like soot or something? But they were always kind of like little patterned black furry dots on his. So they couldn't have been soot because they're too, you know, like organized or. I don't know, maybe they were though. Forgot to do his little, it's white down here. Like that. Put a little texture on this because it's supposed to be kind of like furry or something, right? All right, so we got to do his pipe. I'm going to go with a neutral gray because this pipe is essentially supposed to be black, I think. So, like the color wimp that I am, I'm going to slowly build up to a really dark. Now the neutral grays are full, which shows you that I never use them. I used to use them almost exclusively. And then I sort of started to realize that if you use the cool grays and the warm grays can become sort of like flesh tones or yellows, and the cool grays become almost like blues. And they become almost like a color, even though you're just using gray. Okay, this is a N7. Looks black, but it's not. It's just a really dark gray. See how easily we can get kind of like a fakey shine on there. I'm going to go back in here with a 2. And blend those a little bit. And I'm going to come back in over the top with some highlights. I want to get this softer looking. Okay. So I'll go back in here with a 5. I guess I could go in here with a black and really differentiate between the where's that little thing at? Oh, I have such a mess. I keep thinking of the incredible power I could actually have if I cleaned my studio. It'd be almost like a superpower. Okay, so I just want a little. White there. Okay. So I'm going to go with a warm gray now to create this little smoke ring we've got going. We'll try a 3 here and hope it doesn't, it's not too dark. I think if there's anything else I want to do to this. I'm going to beef up these holding lines with a 0.8. Because with all the colored pencil and everything, the lines tend to get dulled. To make sure that these eyelashes don't get lost. You want these eyes to really pop. Might have too much highlight here. All righty. It's funny as comic book artists how we get so used to it doesn't sound right no matter how I say it, having these like really heavy black holding lines, and when they're not there, it doesn't feel like the drawing is complete, even though this isn't technically a comic book drawing. Okay. One last touch here. The Jack Show says Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to the Jack Show. You guys watching right now? I knew I had some serious competition going up against the Jack Show tonight, but I thought, people will catch me in reruns. Okay, so I'm going to outline this in a warm gray. Just to give it a little bit more weight and volume to it. Oops. And there we go. Santa. He knows if you've been naughty or nice. So you guys on the Jack Show, watch out. Make sure you're always nice. Kind of feel like I want to toss just a little bit more detail into this beard. Not much. And I guess I could kick just a little bit of shadow underneath here. All right, I'm not going to promise that I'm not going to mess around with this some more when I get up tomorrow, but or even right this second. But I will go ahead and sign it. Boom, there it is. Complete. All right, everybody. That is that. Thank you for joining me. Those of you who have bounced in from the Jack Show, thank you so much. This is more of a calming influence. It's a little bit better idea. It's not quite as clear, but the color is a little bit more accurate. All righty, so there it is. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It's 11 o'clock on the West Coast, which means it's, 2 a.m. on the East Coast? You guys are up at 2 a.m. Rock on, man. Thank you guys. Thanks for the kind words in the chat. Love it very much. Old dirty fat. He's getting a little salty in there. Like I said, David Williams and I will be doing a draw stream tomorrow about lunchtime. And I don't know what we're going to be drawing. Oh, actually, I'm going to be drawing a Wraith piece, which this and probably the Santa piece and the Wraith piece probably end up in the Comicsgate art auction. Either, I guess it starts tomorrow night or Saturday night. Anyway, so keep your eyes open for those. You guys, again, thanks for your time. Appreciate you joining me, and I will see you soon. Have a good night.